I think a painting should take the eye for a walk, but I think it should also take the mind for a walk. This is called Illuminations because each of the paintings refers in some way to the good book, right? In this case, the Old Testament, all of them. I had an Irish mother and a Jewish father. I was brought up very much in the Catholic Church. We were all altar boys, the four of us, in Bronxville, New York. At the age of 18, after graduating from Georgetown Prep, I went into the Jesuits. I went to Innsbruck, Austria, where I spent 4 years and was ordained as a Jesuit priest in 1960. Then I spent 2 more years in Europe and came back to the States, and the Jesuits put me in a program to get a PhD in philosophy. So I said yes. But then when I studied philosophy very seriously and read Kant, Hegel, and Kierkegaard, all of whom put art on the very highest level of consciousness, and I had matured in Europe intellectually and every other way. And I said, why am I not getting a degree in art? Jesuits teach everything. So I changed my degree from a PhD in philosophy to an MFA in art at George Washington University. I graduated with an MFA in May of 1965, and I had my first one-man show at the Allen Funt Gallery on 78th Street in New York City in a month later. And it was a big success. The New York Times had written me up as the priest who paints. And Stuart Preston, the critic at the time, said he has an abstract style of visionary power, and that put me on the map. So the show sold out, and I was a professional artist. Allen Funt, who had been my gallerist, went out of business. So I got another gallery, the Wren Gallery, which was a fine gallery in New York at the time, the gallery that showed Edward Hopper. And they scheduled a show for me in October of 1968. After I left the Jesuits in 1968, the Jesuits hired me back as chair of the art department at Santa Clara University in California, where I spent 5 years. Happy years. Had many exhibits. And then, out of the blue, I got an offer to be the first director of the Paul Mellon Art Center at Choate in Connecticut. And I went there for 5 years and created the programming at the Art Center, which was wonderful. And one of the most wonderful things about it was to meet and get to know a little bit Paul Mellon, who was one of the great art patrons of all time, and a lovely gentleman. And then out of the blue again came the possibility of being the first director of the Fine Arts Center at Stony Brook University. I spent 20 years there, wonderful years, helping to create the place, the programming, and hiring the wonderful people that still work there, and inspiring people like the Stallers to give enough money so they named it after them. Now it's a big, big success, and I'm delighted with that. I see art as nature reborn through the free consciousness of the human spirit. And I'm not making that up, that's Hegel's words, but I took it to heart. So if I do a landscape, as I have been doing lately, there's no attempt in my mind to reproduce nature or imitate nature. I'm trying to get nature in and express something about my spirit, but also your spirit, our own spirits.